Hi yogis, welcome to Yoga Flow. So today's class will be partially inspired by Primal Yoga, a little bit inspired by Pilates, and also partly inspired by a yoga block. So we will need one of these for sure. Other than that, just your mat, and we'll get started in a kneeling position, please. So let's go ahead and take a seat, and if sitting on your heels is not comfortable, then you can sit cross-legged, maybe sit on a folded blanket. And when you get there, just close your eyes, let your spine rise up tall. And we'll connect with our breath here, so smooth, rhythmic, even breaths through the nose. Just letting the residual energy of your day just drop away here so that you are immersed in this present moment and within the presence of your own body. Immersed in the feeling, the experience of your own breath. Check that your head is centered right over your shoulders are relaxed down, your spine is tall, and your hands are relaxed. And can you breathe all the way into the base of your lungs and the back of your lungs? Do one more breath here. Blink the eyes back open, and we'll come on to all fours. Just start to move into a cat-cow shape, so arching on the inhale and rounding on the exhale. When we do our inspired primal yoga sequence, so it will be a bit of weight on the wrists. So let's start off with just stretching and getting some strength going in the wrists here. So keeping your fingers facing forward, your fingers are spread. Let's just lift the heel of the hands so the fingers are completely down, just the heel of the hands lift, and then come up onto the fingertips, and then lower down to the first knuckle, and then lower the heel of the hands. So lift the heel so you're just on the fingers on the first knuckle, and then lift up into the fingers. Lower the fingers to the first knuckle, lower the hands, and then just keep going like that. Inhale, up, up. Exhale, down, down. So you just as if your hands have three segments to them, the fingers, the base of the fingers, and then the heel of the hands. You're just transferring your weight between those three areas systematically. One more, up, up. Down, down, and then turn your hands out so they face away from each other, and just shift back and forth, so the weight is shifting into the right hand and then the left hand. And then when you shift over into the right hand, you lift the heel of that hand up, shift over to the left, lift the heel of the left hand, and then once you lift it up, you just lower it back down as you shift over towards the other hand. You can even make this more of a fluid, kind of a wave-like motion, just shifting back and forth. One more to the left, and then come through center, and now turn your fingers so they point back towards your knees, and the inner wrist should be about level. Your hands are still shoulder distance apart, and send your hips back a little bit. Can you try to do a bit of a cat-cow from here? So arching, and the exhale you round, and you'll feel this a little bit more on the exhale as you pull the navel away from the floor. You'll feel this in the inner forearms, so arch, last one here, and round, just hollowing out through the belly on the exhale, and come back through center, turn your fingers forward, and let's come into a downward facing dog. Push into the base of your fingers. Spread your fingers wide. Shift forward to plank pose, inhale. Bend your knees and bend your elbows a little bit, and then point your elbows back. They're bent slightly, they're pointed back. This should feel like a lot of work going on in the shoulder blades. Look forward, knees are bent, heels are high, sit bones are high, and then shift your weight back. So this is called turbo dog. Your elbows are still bent, your knees are bent, your heels are high, looking forward, and then straighten your arms and your legs, downward dog. So we're going to move in the water wheel kind of a motion. So shift forward to plank on the inhale. Bend your knees, bend your elbows, take your hips back, point your elbows down, look forward, straighten your arms and leg, downward dog. Shift forward to plank, inhale. Come back into turbo dog. Bent knees, bent elbows, look forward, straighten your arms and legs, downward dog. One more time, shift forward, plank pose. Turbo dog. On the exhale, look forward and then straighten your arms and your legs and pause here. Lower your knees down to the floor. Shift back into child's pose, just taking some weight off of the wrist. Actually, take your arms alongside your legs. Hands are just next to the feet. And then with the back of your hands on the floor, let's lift the back of the hands up. So just the back of the wrist is down. Make a soft fist in each hand, just stretching through the back of the wrist here. Push into all 10 toenails. Rise all the way up to a high kneeling. Reach your arms up overhead. Have your legs together and squeeze them together. Circle your arms to the right. Shift your hips to the right a little bit. Reach your arms left. Come back up. Arms come down and to the right. They reach up, just big circular movements with the arms. And then circle your arms left. Take your hips left and reach your arms up to the right. So you're circling your arms to the left and up, and then to the right. Your hips go down to the right, your arms to the left. Circle your arms down. Inhale out to the right and up. Hips are under you. Exhale, arms to the left, hips to the left, arms reach up to the right. And then rise all the way upright. Stay here. Take the arms behind you, interlace your fingers, and press the knuckles down. Firm your thighs here and try to rotate your inner thighs back. Lift up through the low belly. Try to squeeze your lower front ribs in towards each other and send your hips forward. Push down into the tops of the feet. Lift up through the head. Okay, let's release the hands and lower the hands to the floor. Okay, here we go for our first primal movement here. So start in a downward facing dog. This is going to be kind of a vinyasa flow with a little bit of primal. So reach the right leg up behind you, open the hip and bend the knee. This is our scorpion dog. And then straighten the legs, square off the hips. Exhale, bend both knees and hover both of them off the floor. You still have your right foot hovering. Now you're going to transfer the weight in the right hand. Bring your left heel down to the left, and your right leg is going to come under you over to the left. Can you hover that leg? And then take the left hand back. Send the right leg up into the air behind you. Open the hip and bend the knee. Straighten the leg, square off the hips. And let's step the right foot just next to the right hand. A little bit wider than the right hand. Place your left hand on a block. Make sure there's nothing in front of you, because you're going to kick it. We're going to send this left leg under us and forward, coming into a pistol squat. So I have my left hand on the block, and the block is pretty high. I'm going to push down into my right foot, bring the left leg under me, and I'm right on the ball of the right foot. You can even hold on to the left foot if that's possible with your right hand. And then this left leg is going to come right back behind you again. So back it goes towards the left foot, towards the back of the mat, both hands down. Take the right leg up into the air, three-legged dog. Open the hips and bend the knee. Straighten the legs, square off the hips. And bend both knees and hover them just a couple inches off the floor. You're still hovering the right foot. Now this time, we're going to bring the right leg under us to the left, but we're going to transfer all the way around to an upward facing position. So bring the right hand closer to the left hand. Lower the back heel. Take the right leg under you to the left, and then place that foot down and bring your left hand around. And now we are in reverse table, or it's called a crab pose in Primal Yoga. So the hips are high. Check that the hands are under the shoulders and the feet are under the knees. Now let's lift the right leg up into the air. Send the right leg forward, keep the hips high. Lift the right leg up, lower the hips a little bit and bend the elbows. Take the leg forward, lift the hips, straighten the arms. Leg comes up, hips down, elbows bend. Leg forward, hips up, elbows straight. We're going to shift ourselves back around. So keep this right foot hovering. Bring the right hand a little more towards the middle of the mat. Turn yourself back around. Whoa, right leg up into the air behind you. Open the hip and bend the knees, scorpion dog. Straighten the legs, square the hips. Step the right hand or the right foot just outside the right hand, coming into a wide lunge. We're going to come back into that pistol squat. So bring the block just under your left hand. If the higher the position, the better. It gives you more ground clearance to bring the left foot forward. So left leg comes under you, pistol squat, you're right on the ball of the right foot, and then you're going to lower your hips all the way down. Coming into boat pose. Grab your block. Approximately you're in the middle of your mat. Block is between your hands. Okay, here we go. Come back into half boat, reach the arms back behind you. Shift up to boat pose and transfer the block between the feet. Come back into half boat, reach the arms back. Back up into boat, block in your hands. Just transferring the block back and forth. So block in the hands, reach back with the arms, come back up, place the block between the feet, squeeze it. Come back into half boat, a little bit tougher with the arms reaching back into boat, block in the hands. Then we're going to come back up into our lunge. So just place the right foot down, place the block down in the left hand. You're going to push down into the left hand, lift your hips. I'm going to come down a little bit with the block. Lift the hips, send the left leg back into a lunge, and we're right back where we started. So just step back into plank pose. Lower down, all the way down onto your belly. You can move the blocks out of the way here. We're going to come into scorpion rolls. So we'll just start off and then we'll add on to this sequence incrementally. So we can have the elbows, forearms down, out to the side, and a little bit wide, so a little bit wider than, maybe more like elbow distance than shoulder distance. And then push into the right hand, bend the right knee, and you lift off that right hip and tap the foot to the floor behind you. And then roll back down onto the front of your hips. And then bend the left knee, push into the left hand, roll onto the right hip, tap the left foot to the floor behind you. Roll yourself back down. We're going to add on. So bend the right knee, push into the right hand, roll onto the left hip, tap the foot behind you. Stay here on your left hip. Reposition the left shoulder so it's directly under you. Stack your legs. Now let's hover both of your legs up. They're both hovering just a couple inches off of the mat. And then you're going to lift your top leg. The knee and the foot point forward, not up. You're still hovering your bottom leg. Both of your legs are straight. Let's just do one more with this top leg lifted. And then lift the top leg, lift the bottom leg up. Lower the bottom leg, lower the top leg. Still hovering your legs. Lift the top leg, lift the bottom leg. This is the Pilates portion of the class. Top leg down. One more time. Top leg up, bottom leg up. Bottom leg down, top leg down. One more of these, guess what? Top leg up, and then just lift and lower the bottom leg. Take it up, lower it down. And two, and lower it down. And one, lower it down. Take both legs down, roll back down onto your belly. All right, other side. So bend the left knee. Push into the left hand, swing the foot back to the floor behind you, and then straighten both legs. And reposition the right elbow so it's directly under you, and don't just slouch down in the shoulder. Push up and out of the shoulder. Hover both of your legs are stacked. And let's lift this top leg for 3, and down, and 2, and down, and 1, and down. Both legs mostly straight. And then top leg up, bottom leg up. And then down and down. And 2, up, up, down and down, and 1. Up, up, down, down. Top leg stays up. Just the bottom leg lifts and lowers. 3, 2, this is a lot of oblique work. 1, lower both legs, roll onto the belly. Push up to cobra. You can keep it low if you like, a baby cobra if the back isn't ready for this full cobra yet. And let's come back into downward facing dog. Okay, we're going to do that whole thing on the other side. So let's begin. Inhale, your left leg rises behind you, open the hip and bend the knee. Straighten the legs, square the hips. And then bend both knees, hover them just off the floor. Lower your right heel down, the inner heel down, and take your left leg over to the right and lift it up. So it's hovering off the floor. And then you're going to take your left leg under you, back up into three-legged dog, open the hip, bend the knee. Straighten the legs, square the hip. Step outside the left hand. Find your block with your right hand. We're going to come into a pistol squat and just hover for a moment. So your right leg comes under you and forward, and you're balancing on the ball of your left foot. Maybe you can lift both hands and hover, or not. And then we're going to bring the right foot back to a lunge. Both hands down, left leg up into the air behind you, open the hips and bend the knee. Straighten the legs, square the hips. Bend both knees, hover them. You're still hovering the left foot. We're going to come all the way around to face upwards. So place the left hand in the middle of your mat and then turn yourself all the way around on your right foot and bring the right hand to the floor behind you and just reposition your hands and your feet so the hands are under the shoulders, the feet are under your knees, and then lift your left leg back up again. Take the leg forward, leg stays straight. Lift the leg up, bend your elbows, dip the hips down. Lower the leg, lift the hips, straighten the arms. And again, leg up, hips down, leg down, hips up. Last one. Leg up, hips down. They don't come all the way down though. And then leg forward, hips up. We're going to unwind this. So bring the left hand kind of back under you. Turn around to the left. Both hands down under the shoulders. Left leg up into the air behind you. Open the hips, bend the knee. Straighten the legs, square the hips. Step the left foot outside the left hand. Pistol squat. So you might be able to do this without the block. The block will just give you more clearance. The right leg is going to come all the way under you and forward. And then you're balancing on your left foot. And then you lower your hips all the way down. Okay, a little different this time. We're going to take the block right in between your inner heels. Now if you have it, it's not at the inner balls of the feet and heels, it's just at the inner heels. So it's going to be feel very unstable, the block, and might even spin around a little bit. So you've got to squeeze it like crazy so the block doesn't slip out and it doesn't spin around. Boat pose. Squeeze the block with your heels, the inner heels. Your toes are turned out a little bit. You should really feel your inner thighs working here. Lower into half boat. Rise back up. Just pulsing up and down a little bit, and keep squeezing the block, otherwise it's going to fall. Do one more like this. Stay up, and then let your knees pulse in and out. And your inner ankle bones might be click-clacking against the block. You might even have the block lower down on your feet so your ankles are not knocking against the block. You're still squeezing it a lot, I hope. Knees back into normal position. Oh, in and out, half boat and regular boat. Keep squeezing the block. All right, that's enough of that. Hold on to the block in your left hand. Let me think about that. Right hand. Place the left foot down. Right foot comes down. Your left foot's going to come behind you. So you might want to shift forward, left hand on the block, left leg floats back behind you. And then just step back into plank pose and lower back down onto the belly. So we're going to come back into our scorpion rolls. Now that you know them, we'll move through them a little more quickly. So forearms are down and they're kind of wide. Stay here for just one more breath, and then bend your right knee. You're going to push off the right hand, roll onto the left hip. Let's do that 2 more times. Roll back down just with the right knee to the left. Bend the right knee, shift over, tap the foot. These are scorpion rolls. Roll the hips back down. One more time, just the right knee bends. Push into the right hand, roll onto the left hip, stay here. Straighten both of your legs. Check that the left shoulder is the elbow is directly under the shoulder. Hover both of your legs. Keep them straight, keep them stacked. 3 times just with the top leg, up and down. And the knee isn't pointing up, it's pointing forward. Last one. And then both legs up and down, alternating up and down. Try not to roll too much onto the back of your butt. You're just on the side of the hip. And then top leg comes up and it stays up. Just your bottom leg up and down. And last one. Lower both legs, roll back down onto your belly. Bend your left knee. 3 times scorpion rolls, and then we'll end up on the hip. So push into the left hand, roll onto the right hip, tap the foot behind you, roll back down. Bend the left knee, roll to the right, tap the foot behind you, roll back down. This should feel kind of good on the low back. Tap the foot behind you, stay here. Extend your legs. Right elbow is directly under the shoulder. There isn't much weight in this hop hand. It's just here to stabilize you a little bit. Hover both of your legs. Your legs are straight. 3 times with the top leg up and down. 2, make sure the knee isn't rolling upwards. 3, it's pointing forwards. Keep the top leg up. And then alternate. Top leg and bottom leg, lift and lower 3 times. And last one, make sure your bottom leg is still hovering when it's coming down. Lift your top leg. 3 times, just moving the bottom leg. 2, 3. Both legs lower. Come down onto the forearms. Sphinx pose. Just check. Get the elbows right under the shoulders and broaden across your collarbones. Push down into the hands. Lift up through the base of the skull. If you have come off of your mat like I have, then scoot yourself back so you have your hands and your forearms on the mat. And then we're going to curl the toes under. Lift up first the ribs, the navel, and then the hips. Look down towards your knees, and then hover your legs. So you're just on your forearms and the balls of the feet, forearm plank. Stay here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift your hips, walk your feet in. You might want to walk your forearms down a little bit and come into dolphin pose. Check that the forearms are parallel to each other. Your fingers are spread and you're pushing down through the base of your thumbs. Send your ribs back. I know this is a big shoulder opener, so do the best you can. Keep your hips high, your groins high. Send your ribs back. We're going to take this into a low lunge. So it's one fluid movement of stepping the right foot forward and lifting the elbows. So we'll do it now in just a moment. So first lift your right leg behind you in your dolphin pose, so one-legged dolphin. And then just visualize this before you do it. You're going to push into the hands, lift the elbows, and then step the right foot forward. It's all in one movement though. So ready? Inhale. Exhale, push into the hands, lift the elbows, step the right foot forward, lower the back knee down. Reach up through the left arm. Keep the right hand on the thigh. Just 3 circles around through the left arm. Just releasing through the shoulders here. Last one, up and around. And there we go. Let's reach both of the arms up. Inhale. Exhale, lower the hands down to the floor. Straighten your back leg. Reach your right arm back with the palm face up. Look over the right shoulder. Inhale here. Exhale, reach the right arm up and over your head, straighten through the front leg. Bend the front knee, reach the right arm back, palm face up, look back. Exhale, reach the right arm up and over your head, straighten the front leg. Bend the front knee. Last time, reach back, palm faces up, look towards the back hand. Exhale, right arm up and over, straighten the front leg. Bend the front knee. Downward facing dog. again. We're going to do that whole thing with the left leg. So we'll just start from dolphin. If you need to lower your knees to come into dolphin pose to get your forearms down, that's fine. Or you can look forward, bend the elbows, point them out a little bit, and then point them down. We were here before, remember? In this turbo dog, this is how we come into dolphin. So make sure that the inner edge of your elbows are pointing forward, and then lower your elbows down into dolphin pose. So you want to make sure your forearms are parallel and your elbows and your wrists are all lined up with the shoulders. They're not wider than the shoulders. Push into the base of your thumbs. Lift your heels, lift your sit bones, move your ribs back. And then we're going to prepare to step the left foot forward. So reach the left leg up behind you, three-legged dolphin. It's one fluid movement. You've got to push down into the hands to lift the elbows to step the left foot forward. So ready, inhale, and exhale, go. Lift the elbows, left foot forward, lower the back knee. Bring the left hand onto the thigh, right arm circles up and around 3 times. And 2, and 1, all the way around, complete the circle, and then both of the arms reach up, inhale, and exhale, both of the hands touch down. Straighten the back leg, reach your left arm back, look out over your left shoulder. Inhale here. Exhale, your left arm circles up and over your head, look down, straighten your front leg. Inhale, bend the front knee again, reach the left arm back, palm up. Exhale, the arm reaches up and over your head as you straighten the front leg. Bend the knee, last time, inhale, reach back, look back. Exhale, circle the arm up and over, straighten the front leg, come back into the lunge, and then just lower the hand down. And we'll step forward and come into a squat. Take the heels wide and the toes out wide to the side. And if you can, the heels come down to the floor, so you might need to adjust how your feet are positioned. Maybe take them a little wider, maybe turn the toes out more. And we're just going to give ourselves a little bit of a rest before we move into the next part of this practice where we're going to move with the block. So here's our resting position here from a squat. These are your thumb pads, these little soft squishy parts of the thumb, and then you're going to lower your head down. So the thumb pads are supporting either the inner eye sockets, the bony part of the inner eye sockets, or you might find the upper eye sockets is more comfortable, or somewhere along the sides of the bridge of the nose. So decide which of those 3 spots feels best for you to just let the head be totally supported by the thumb pads. Your palms are in prayer pose. You're closing your eyes and just let yourself rock. Maybe the third eye feels nicer. You're just letting yourself rock very softly, very subtly forward and back. Close your eyes here. The nervous system likes to be rocked. It feels good. And then just shift left to right. Little tiny, tiny movements. And when I say shift left to right, it's really only about an inch each way. Again, all we're doing is looking for a nice little rocking movement. And then come back through center, lower the hands, and lift your hips up. Come into forward fold. Heel toe the feet, hips distance apart. Let the head soften down. The eyes close. Grab your block. Push down into the feet. And let's rise on up to stand. Okay. So next part of our sequence is doing a flow with the block here. So we're going to hold the block in both hands, and I have the wide part of the block between both hands, and then reach the arms up into the air. Let's bend the elbows, point the elbows forward, and bring the block behind the head. Look up, lean back, a little bit of a standing back bend, so your elbows point up, and then reach the block back up, line the spine back up. Bring the block in close to the body and fold back down, bringing the block softly to the floor. You still have the block between your hands. Bend the knees, bring the block back up close to the body, back all the way up overhead. Reach up, hands are still pressing into the block, and then bend the elbows, point the elbows up, bring the block behind your head. Lean back a little bit. Push the feet down, firm your thighs, tailbone draws down, elbows point up. You're curling back over the back of the heart. And then reach the block back up, line your spine back up. Let's step the right foot back to a warrior one. So lower the back heel and still holding the block. Bend your left knee about 90 degrees. Now bend your elbows again. Bring some part of a flat part of the block behind your head. Now I'm curling the very tips of my fingers around the edge of the block so I can push the block into the head and the head back into the block. The elbows point up and I'm leaning back, lean the head back into the block, curling back over the back of the heart. Elbows are going to start to point up. Is your left knee still bent, still pointing forward? A little bit of a warrior one with a back bend element here. One more breath. Push into the outer edge of the back foot, tailbone is down. And then lift the head and reach the block up. And let's take the block down to the ground into your revolved triangle. So bring your right foot in an inch or two. The block is under your right shoulder and your left arm opens up, twist to the left. Parivrtta Trikonasana. Keep the spine reaching forward out of the pelvis. Your left arm is reaching up, crown of the head reaches forward. And then you'll look down. Grab a hold of the block in your right hand. Look down, windmill your right arm up and around. Come to face the right long side of your mat. Come into horse pose. So the toes are turned out, the knees are turned out. Reach your arms long. You still have the block in your right hand. This is your back hand. Now we're going to do a twist towards the front of the mat. So your right arm leads with the block, twist towards the front of the mat and transfer the block into the left hand. Bring the right arm back. Now twist towards the back of the mat, transfer the block into the right hand. Open the arms up. Twist back to the front, block into the left hand. Open the arms up. Twist to the back. You're kind of looking, you're twisting, you're leaning over as you twist. Transfer the block into the right hand. Open up again. Last time. Right block, hand comes over. Transfer the block in the left hand. Open the arms up. And then you're just going to shift to a crescent warrior, facing the front. Arms reach up, block is reaching up. Lower the block down to the floor. Right in front of you, maybe a foot or so in front of your left foot, take your right leg back parallel to the floor. So the toes and the kneecap point down. Your hands are on the block. The block is on about the medium-high position. Try to make your spine mostly parallel to the floor. Reach out long through your back leg, level your hips. And then just the right hand is on the block and your left arm is reaching up, revolve triangle pose. Keep pressing out through your back leg and keep reaching the spine forward as you twist. One more breath. And then lower the left hand onto the block. Now to move into regular half moon pose, we've got to be mindful of the hips here. So first I want you to firm your outer left hip, lift the right hip up, and once your right hip is stacked on top of the left hip, then reach your right arm up. By now your right toe should be pointing to the side as your right arm reaches up, half moon pose. Flex the right ankle, spread the toes. And then take it back to a triangle pose. So bend your front knee, step your right foot down towards the back of the mat, and bring the block under your left shoulder. Right arm is reaching up, triangle pose. Reach the spine long. Reach up tall through your right fingertips. Transfer this into side angle pose. So step your right foot back another inch. Bend your left knee, reach your top arm forward. And really work, make it a strong intention to point the inner edge of your left knee forward and push into the back foot. Reach the spine forward. Breathe. Right shoulder is pulling back. Lower both of your hands to the floor. Find a lunge. Okay. So let's just step the back foot forward. Before we do that whole sequence on the other side, we're going to do a little detour. So we're going to place the balls of both feet on the block. Standing, squeeze the legs together, and then lift the heels and lower down to a squat. You can take the knees wide if you like, and then let the shoulders come down inside the knees, back of the hands on the floor. Your heels are starting to press down. Inner heels are pushing into each other. Knees are wide, and just letting everything soften down here. Hands to the floor. Straighten your legs. And now take the heels off the block, but the balls of the feet are still on the block. And now this is going to be a really big calf stretch. And if you need to here, you can always have your hands on your second block. If this is too much for the low back or the hamstrings, I want this to feel a bit more in the calves. So as you shift the weight back towards the heels, and your heels are probably hovering off the floor because they're up on your balls of your feet are up on the block, you might feel that the block is trying to peel away from the floor, but you're not going to let it flip out from underneath your feet, right? So keep the weight pushing straight down. Keep that control that maybe the block is angling up, but you're still controlling it. And then bring the block back down and step the feet off of the block. And we'll do that whole thing on the other side. So push down into the feet, rise up to stand. Hold the block between your hands. The block is wide and the palms are pushing into the edges of the block. Let's reach up through the arms. Bend the elbows, point the elbows up. Step the right foot back into Warrior One, Virabhadrasana 1. Back heel is down, front knee is bent. Push the hands into the blocks. Bring the block behind your head. The flat edge of the block is pressing into the back of your head. And then as you push the fingers into the block to push the block in towards your head is pushing back into the block at the same time. Your elbows are pointing up, straighten out through the back leg, tailbone is down, lower belly is lifted, curl back from the back of the heart. Breathe. And then lift the head, reach the block up, and lower the block down just under the left shoulder. Let's bring the left foot forward an inch or so and straighten both of your legs. Revolve triangle pose. Send your right hip back, twist to the right, reach the right arm up. Keep both of your legs mostly straight. Try to level out your hips. Push into the inner ball of your right foot. Reach your spine forward. One more breath. And look down. You're going to keep holding the block in your left hand. Push down into your feet. Windmill your left arm up and around. Okay, so horse pose. Now you're facing the left side of your mat. Block is in the right arm. Arms are long. Make sure your toes and your knees are turned out. A little bit different this time. So start off by just twisting towards the front of the mat, but don't transfer the block yet. And then take the left arm back. And now side bend up and over towards the front, and then back to center. And then twist to the front. Now transfer the block in the right hand and return the left arm back. So twist towards the back, holding the block in the right hand. Keep the block in the right hand. Come back. Side bend towards the back. And then back through center. Twist towards the back. Transfer into the left hand, the block. And then back through center. The block's in the left hand now. Twist to the front. Keep the block in the left hand. Come back through center. Side bend up and over. Come back through center. Twist towards the front, transfer the block into the right hand, and come back to center. Last time. Twist to the back, open up, side bend, come back through center, twist to the back, transfer the block, come back through center. All right, now we're going to bring the block into the right hand and set up to come into crescent. So just twist it so the block comes into the right hand, and then come into crescent warrior. Both of your arms reach up, you're facing forward. Lower the block down just about a foot in front of you, and I have the block on the medium position. Reach the spine forward, reach your left leg back. Your toes and your kneecap are pointed down. You're leveling out your hips, so send your right hip back. Breathe. Stay engaged through the left leg. And then revolved half moon, left hand on the block, right arm is reaching up, crown of the head reaches forward. Stay engaged through your back leg. Keep breathing. Lower the right hand down. You might want to bring the block directly under the right shoulder. We're going to come into half moon. So first engage the outer right hip. Lift your left hip. And then lift the left arm. Now spread the toes, flex the ankle. Your left toes should be turned out to the side, as is the kneecap. You're really engaged in the outer right hip. And then you'll bend your right knee and you'll step back to a triangle pose. Straighten your front leg. Block is under the right shoulder. Have a little engagement to the low belly. It's just going to protect the lower abdomen. It's going to protect the low back, and it also helps to create some integration between the upper body and the lower body. You have your core engaged. It doesn't have to be really tightly clenched. Kind of cutting off circulation of energy if we keep the abs really clenched tight all the time. That's not what we're going for. It's really just about a 50% engagement, depending on what you're doing and how much you need to keep the low back safe. Adjust this into side angle. So bring your left foot back a little bit more. Bend your front knee 90 degrees and reach your top arm forward. Push into the back foot. Reach out long through the top arm. Make sure that your right knee is not veering over to the left. It's pointing straight forward. How's your breath? Lower your front hand or your top hand down. Find a lunge. Let's come into down dog, and you're going to use both of your blocks for this. Lower your knees. I'm going to show you a way to do a supported, kind of like a restorative downward dog. And this doesn't work for everyone because we all have different bone proportions to other bones. But I love this one. So I have one block. It's about a foot away from the top of the mat, and it's on the low position. And then the second block is also on the low position, but it's ramped up. So it's at an angle, and the top of my head is going to come right onto this ramped up block here. So I've got to get my hands forward of the blocks, come into downward dog, adjust where your hands are in relation to the blocks so that your head can maybe come comfortably down. The top of the head is resting on that ramped up block. You might find that this takes almost all of the weight out of the shoulders. But if this bothers your neck, then please come out and just come into a regular downward dog. We want to have the weight on the center of the top of the head, maybe even a half an inch to an inch forward of the center of the top of the head. And the reason why I'm being specific about that is it's going to affect the alignment of your cervical spine. Because we are putting a little bit of weight on the neck here. And then you'll bring your head off of the block and lower your knees down. So we'll start to wind this down. We'll come into a pigeon pose, and since we're using the blocks, I'll show you how to do pigeon with the blocks. So come into downward dog. Take your right leg up behind you, and then send your right outer shin forward for your pigeon pose, Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. You have your knee just behind the right wrist, and your shin is angled over to the left. Now here's how I like to do this pose with the blocks, because I'm not a naturally open-hipped yogi, so I usually like to have props for my pigeon pose. So I place the block on the medium position, and it's sort of lined up with the long edge of the mat, and then I lower my I take my lower ribs down, my solar plexus down on top of the block. And you can have another one under your head if you like, but I just like to stack my forearms and rest my head on that. We're all different, so if you would like to, if you know there's a way you'd like to set this pose up that feels best for you, maybe a bolster underneath you, or maybe a folded blanket under your right hip, please feel free to find that position. If you're trying out this block and it's just not working for you, that's fine. You don't have to use the block. I find that it just takes a little bit of, just enough weight off of the right hip that I'm not struggling with the pose. I can just be a little more comfortable with it. So it's generally true in yoga that we don't want to struggle with the poses, even if it's a difficult pose. You don't want to struggle with it. You want to keep your breath soft and steady, and your face and your thoughts. The more you struggle, the more you're moving away from yoga. It's not yoga if you're fighting with the pose or wrestling with it. Let's lift the head, and you'll come back into downward dog. Stretch your spine back, make your feet and your hands level, make your hips level, get nice and long here. Make your arm bones long and your leg bones, reach your heels down. Your calf should be a bit more open now after that forward fold standing on the block. And then let's look forward, actually lift the left leg up, and then let's bring the left leg forward. Outer shin comes down, so the knee is behind the left wrist, and your shin is angled to the right. And then once you've settled here, so your hips are more or less level to the front of the mat, and your back leg is long behind you. Take your time getting yourself positioned, and then you lower down. And I'm just going to slide this block. It's on the medium position. I'm going to slide it down so it's right underneath the low ribs, the solar plexus area. And I'm going to stack my forearms and let my head rest on that. Now you might want more lift than this. You might want more of a sturdy bolster underneath you, or a prop underneath the left hip. If there's any discomfort in the knee in particular, or in the hip. You just let yourself soften and surrender in this pose. Surrender any gripping, any need to struggle with this pose, or to just grit your teeth through it. Just let everything relax. And let's lift the head. Come onto the hands, move the block out of the way, and then come onto the left hip and swing your right leg forward. We'll just do a twist on our back before we wrap this up. So just laying down on your back. Here, bend your knees, feet off the floor, arms out to the side. Let's exhale and lower both legs to the right. And just lay here for a few breaths. back up. Place the feet down for a moment. Shift your hips over to the right a bit. Pick the feet back up and lower your legs to the left. Arms are wide. And feel free to modify this if this twist just feels too intense for you today. Then you'll want a prop underneath your legs. And then let's bring the legs back up, feet to the floor. We did a little bit of inner thigh work actually, both from boat pose and also from that side lying pose. So we'll just finish up taking a few breaths in this reclined butterfly Supta Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet together, knees are wide. Just let the arms angle downwards a little bit. Your palms are face up. Check that the weight is evenly distributed across your sacrum and across the upper back. And then just be here for a moment. And if this is too much for the inner hips, the groins area, it feels like it's too intense, place one block underneath each outer thigh to support the pose and soften. And close your eyes here. Soften through your hands. Soften through your face. Just observe the breath smooth and steady. No gripping, no restraint of the breath. You're just letting it flow very naturally. Until you sense that the breath is going naturally into the base of the lungs, building up the base of the lungs. You'll feel the belly soften, even expand a bit on the inhale, and it draws back in softly on the exhale. No effort on your part. Just softening and allowing this breath to happen. Two more like this. Over onto one hip, stacking your legs. Let your head rest on the arm that's underneath you. And use your hands to press yourself up to seated. Okay. Hands come together at the heart. Bow your head to your heart. Thank you for joining me today. Thanks for exploring your yoga through these new moves, primal and then flowing with the block. Thanks again. Namaste.